guidance, the reality of the guide, and the importance in these days that from one understanding for people who want to understand how that took place and the importance of those who passed away and their influence upon the living was from the story of Isra wal Miraj of Sayyidina Muhammad. When our salah and our prayers are a gift from the interaction of Sayyidina Muhammad and Nabi Musa, that Allah had ordered Prophet to pray 50 prayers, and on the Miraj into the Divine the Presence, Sayyidina Muhammad had a dialogue with Nabi Musa, and through that dialogue the interaction was, these salah is too many for your nation, reduce it until our 5 salah that we have now. That is the daleel for those to understand that there is a continuous interaction between this dunya and those that are in the barzakh reality. And Allah throughout Qur'an is reminding for us that don't deem them to be dead, they're very much alive in their grave, and these are from the understandings of malakut, of the ruhani and heavenly dimension, the atomic reality that controls the physical realm as well. You cannot have the physical without the internal functioning. So malakut and the atomic reality, it controls the external understanding and the external world that we see. As a result, most people, their lives are like on a rock and you have a flower. This flower, if it grows on a rock, it may have a nice appearance and may have many different characteristics, but the minute a difficulty comes, the minute a wind comes, a rain comes, a storm comes, that flower is gone, because its roots are in a rock and not going into the ground, means it has barely no root, no reality. It looks nice, it has an appearance. People may be mesmerized by the appearance, but in these days of difficulty, what they want us from just one of its understandings is that guidance is rooted, it has very deep roots in the realm of the malakut. The dimension that you're seeing of its physicality means that it's very much connected. So we have people who only try to develop themselves and develop their exterior, and that Allah described, Prophet described, these are like a flower on a rock. That minute a storm comes, the minute a rain comes, it'll be washed away. What is it going to cling to? Because it only focused on itself, on only the ability of itself. When they come and they teach us from the realms of guidance that the real guides, they are connecting us to our spiritual realm. That in the spiritual realm it is very much alive, and there are awliyaullah in the world of light, and they have been authorized in the world of light for guidance. The reality of guidance is to bring you and bring you under the tarbiyah and under the discipline to connect you with your spiritual guidance. Means they want to cook you inside and out. If somebody is working on you from the realm of reality, from the world of lights, means they are preparing and building your soul. There is a majlis in this world of lights, there is a diwan in the world of lights. Means that when Allah guides us, it's a tremendous ni'mat, it's a tremendous blessing. That the guidance that Allah guides, He guides us to the people and to the way of the malakut, of the heavenly realm. They have a physical appearance, and they are physical representatives of a spiritual world. They're not physical representatives of a physical world. Means that the whole process of maut qabla al-maut, through all of their seclusions and all of their trainings, they reach the station of death. When they go into their seclusions and their trainings, they reach such difficulties and such states that they didn't want to live anymore, that they were happy with what they experienced of the Divine Presence. They were happy in the company of their Lord, and they achieve what Allah wanted them to achieve. And at that point Allah offered for them that, would you like to leave this dunya? Because your state of death, you're able to leave that body, and you reach the point of death, you're gone. But Prophet comes and inspires within the heart, because if you know these people in their tarbiyah and when they were being raised, they don't go anywhere. They sit at home day after day, year after year. They have very little desire for anything. They sit at home and they come to zikr. They sit at home, they come to zikr, or they travel the world with the same objective of teaching how to connect to Prophet and how to return to Allah. Means their entire desires died, that by the time they went into multiple seclusions they were offered that the state in which you are reaching, your body, your soul is free from your body. If Allah calls it right now, you will take the state of death, and they come, they get you, they bury you. But from Prophet the reality that comes and the request that comes, that a higher darajat for you is if you put yourself to be in service. That to die and Allah happy with you, that you are mutahhirun, you are the people of purity, and Allah happy with you. But if you want Allah to be even happier with you and higher darajats, then be of service to Allah. Live a life of service means exist within that dunya to serve Allah and serve Sayyidina Muhammad, and that is the bargain and the contract, the ahad, the covenant in which Allah describing that they reached their covenant. And Allah took from them their dunya and gave them their akhirah. Means in this dunya they operate with their akhirah reality. They have flipped the contract, they have flipped the terms, that you are governed by your body and it has entrapped your soul. When Allah opens the reality of that ayah from Surah Al-Tawbah, that we took from them their dunya and we gave them in exchange akhirah, and it is the best of bargains to make. And then the rest of that ayah has to do with the bayah that they took, they have completed their bayat. They completed their covenant, and Allah flips their contract, that if now you exist on this earth, you're going to exist with your soul's reality, and your body will be inside your soul in their darajats. These awliyaullah, they have darajats that are unimaginable in how much of their body, how much power their body has been given, how much control over these realities have been given. But this is the ocean of guidance, that the oceans of guidance, that these guides come to bring us under tarbiyah, to bring us under discipline, to bring us under the zikr, to bring us under all these controls. And that's why as soon as you begin to meditate and contemplate with them, many people feel they're being held in the zikr. Because the wildness of the ego and the character, that the ruhaniyat of these awliyaullah, they come and they begin to hold the physicality and begin to release the spirituality. And they have a permission to begin to release your spirituality back into its reality. Means they are the connectors of your barzakh and your dunya. Like the cable man, they connect you with what Allah wants to give you of your realities. But because you're not able to hold that covenant, and that is the covenant of Allah, it's a huge covenant. That in the time of Nabi Musa the covenant was an ark. You had to carry the box with 4 malaika, because Nabi Musa is the imitation. When Sayyidina Muhammad comes, it's the real covenant of Allah. The real covenant of Allah is qalb al-mu'min. The 4 angels are on the 4 lataif that are carrying the covenant of Allah upon the believing heart. That by the arrival of Prophet the covenant and the reality of the covenant went from an imitated box into the qalb al-mu'min baytullah. And that is the contract and the covenant with Allah. If they open that covenant, the malaika, they're in front of you and behind you, they're guarding your soul. They're guarding your soul from Sayyidina Jibreel, Sayyidina Mikaeel, Sayyidina Israel, Sayyidina Israfil, wa Sayyidina Malik is the guard over all of them, to make sure that nothing happens to your paradise reality. Sayyidina Jibreel in charge of knowledges that have to come to your soul, Sayyidina Mikaeel in charge of whatever sustenance and the protection and fighting for your soul. Sayyidina Mikaeel is for battle, but for sustenance. Sayyidina Israel teach your reality constantly how to die and how to resurrect, how to die, and Sayyidina Israfil how to resurrect your soul. Means that they teach your being that how to constantly die and move into Divine the Presence, and Sayyidina Israfil to raise you into that reality. Means that the covenant upon their reality, they reach the covenant of Allah, and again in their darajats. More and more, the higher that wali, the higher their covenant and the higher in which Allah has dressed them. But means they guide you not only the material world, they are the connectors in which they take you and plug you into your spiritual reality. And the spiritual association of the shaykhs, they are dressing your soul in Divine the Presence, they are blessing your soul in Divine the Presence and making the connection into your physical being. So that you are like if you look at a human, just for us to get the visual, it's like a human being standing this way, and you make a wall and you see the human being. Most human beings, their feet not connected to anything, so they slide down the wall. This understanding, when they are supported, means their feet are being held, their roots are connected, go deep into the association of awliyaullah. So when a soul that is connected, it sits with them, it learns with them, it dressed from them. And imagine the association of awliyaullah, that their association, they are with the nabiyeen, siddiqeen, shuhada, and they are the saliheen. Means they're dressed from this presence, they're dressed from Allah's Divine lights, and they're constantly sending an energy, so that being is completely connected. Connected from the deep roots into the Divine Presence all the way to what you're seeing of a manifestation, it's connected. And Mawlana Shaykh describes like an evergreen, they're always green. And Allah described them like awtad, a character of certain awliyaullah. They are like the awtad, they are like mountains, pegs, that the shaking of this earth, it shakes, but because of their reality, wherever Allah plants them, the earth stops shaking. They are an awtad, means they are anchors onto this earth. Why? Because their roots are going deep. That's the reality of the bayat, that as soon as you're reciting the bayat, they take that light like a lightning. You begin to see a lightning going back into the presence of Sayyidina Muhammad, and from every direction all these lightnings are connected to the soul and to the reality of Prophet. And that light and that soul and that covenant, it goes back to Allah
because that is the accomplishment of the covenant, that our covenant was with Allah, that we would accept these realities, we would follow these realities, we would be dressed by these realities. That is the reality of guidance. That is not something you can do by yourself. 1,000 years you sit, you cannot make your connection into that barzakh. So another way to describe it is you're on this land, there's an ocean and there's another island. There's no way that you think you can connect yourself to that island. So there are many people following the Qadri tariqas and they say that we are connected Shaykh Abdul Qadir Jailani Qaddasallahu Siruh. If you don't have a living Shaykh, there's no way to connect to barzakh. The importance, because it's the sunnat al-nabawi, it's the sunnah of Sayyidina Muhammad to follow. If it was not the sunnah and the sharia of Sayyidina Muhammad then what was the need of the sahabi to follow Prophet? Mean ihtibah, to follow the living guides, they are the connectors to the barzakh reality. If everybody could connect to the barzakh reality, then what would be the purpose of the living guides and what would be the way and the following of Sayyidina Muhammad? Means everything they do, it is an imitation in Prophet. As the companions followed Prophet, then the students they follow the shaykhs and the shaykh follows Sayyidina Muhammad. And this is the living chain on how the chain reaches to us, that there must be always a living authorized guides. Those living authorized guides, they connect us, they dress us, prepare us and constantly make the connection, so that that reality begins to dress us. Through their teachings of tafakkur, they begin to teach you that you want to make the connection, you have to contemplate. You have to close yourself to the physical world and go deep within your reality to begin to feel that contemplation. From that they begin to open your heart, they begin to open from the haqqaiqs of the heart. Where faiz, you begin to feel the faiz and the emanation of that realm. You begin to hear, you begin to feel the tawassul and tawajjuh, means the means in which are connecting with that light, the means in which that light and the holy face emanate and begin to dress upon us. The realities of the heart begin to open from all of those practices, then they become connected souls. Souls that are connected to the Divinely Presence and the roots are deep within that reality. That is what we need in the days of difficulty, because now they are opening something onto this earth that bringing from the bad and from the hidden realms, bringing into this dunya. If they bring these energies into this dunya, they say even a mustard seed of reality the person has, they will experience it. Means if they have bad within their heart, that bad begins to multiply. If they have bad characteristics in their being, that badness begins to multiply. And that's the reality of Surah Al-Falaq. When Allah teaching us, قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ, means to seek refuge in this extreme darkness that Allah has created. But that darkness, if it begins to enter into this dunya, that people are not going to be safe, people are not going to be able to protect themselves. And the only way to protect ourselves and to be safe is to be connected into that reality, where our feet are connected into our soul's reality, that we are connected and rooted beings deep within the heavens dressing us. And what you see manifesting on dunya, it is something very connected. That's what they want for us. This is what Sayyidina Muhammad wants for us, that we pray that in these days, that in the holy month of Sha'ban, in Laylat al-Bara, that opening up inshaAllah Saturday, Sunday, Monday, then Tuesday, that we be dressed by these lights, blessed by these lights, understand these oceans of light, that the soul be dressed by them, and that we go deeper into that reality, and that becomes the opening of the holy Ramadan and Laylatul Qadr inshaAllah. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifoon wa salaamun al mursaleen walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen bi hurmati Muhammadan Mustafa wa bi siri Suratul Fatiha.